We are making curry quinoa salad. This recipe is healthy, it's delicious, it's full of good nutrition, fiber, protein, flavor. It is kind of a one-pot meal that you can serve as a side dish, you can serve it as the main part of your meal, you can add chicken to it if you want to. There are so many things you can do with it. Make this once and you will not regret it. Welcome back to Elizabeth Eats. Today we are making curry quinoa salad. This is such a healthy, delicious recipe, whether you want to use it for meal prep. I've also taken this to cookouts for entertaining. Everyone loves this. In the last episode, I showed you how to make shredded chicken, so you can put some shredded chicken in this if you want. I also love it vegetarian. Today I'm going vegetarian. This is great for meals all week long. We're gonna start with our quinoa. Now, quinoa these days comes pre-rinsed. We used to say to rinse your quinoa until the water ran dry. These days, most of them come pre-rinsed, so I'm not even gonna rinse this. I need 3/4 of a cup of dry quinoa. Quinoa expands a lot when you cook it, so this will end up with about 1.5 cups of cooked quinoa. If you have leftover quinoa from something else, you can totally use that 1.5 cups of cooked quinoa. I'm going from dry, so 3/4 of a cup. The ratio for quinoa is double the water to your quinoa. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of quinoa. I'll do 1.5 cups of water. Now, to this, I'm gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, just to flavor it from the beginning, and 1/2 teaspoon of yellow curry powder. So this is where the flavor in this awesome salad comes from. Now, you can buy yellow curry powder in a jar like this. There are many good ones. They're all a little different, but they're a blend of things like turmeric, coriander, cumin, fenugreek, some have pepper, some have mustard. There's different blends. I also like to, especially if you don't have a jar of yellow curry powder, if you're not sure if you like it, you're not sure if you like that brand, at a lot of natural grocery stores, you can buy spices in bulk. So this was 50 cents. If you love the salad and you know you love yellow curry, then you can invest in a jar like this for around $10 and it's great to keep around. I like a lot of different brands. But if you're like, I'm on a budget or I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this or use this a lot, this was 50 cents and this will make 2 or 3 batches of this. So I'm also going to add, we're gonna add this to our dressing and to the quinoa so it can cook into the quinoa and flavor it from the beginning. Yellow curry powder is strong. It smells delicious. Right when you open it, you know exactly what it is. So you don't need a lot of it and it will just cook right into our quinoa. Now I'll place it on the stove, bring it up to a boil, then reduce it to a simmer for about 12 to 15 minutes until all of the water is absorbed. This is definitely not something you want to walk away from because we're getting all of the water to absorb and it can burn to the bottom of the pan. So set a timer for 12 minutes and then check it every minute or so until the water is completely absorbed. While our quinoa simmers, let's make our dressing. I'm going to use Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is full of probiotics. This is an unsweetened plain Greek yogurt. If you want this to be vegan, you can use coconut yogurt. This is 1/4 cup of whole fat Greek yogurt. Just use something unsweetened and not vanilla. You don't want any flavoring in this. You want just the yogurt. I love this yogurt for the probiotics. It is definitely a health food and it has a great tang to it as well. To that, I'll add 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. This salad feeds 8. There's a lot of veggies and quinoa going into this bowl, so that's 4 tablespoons of olive oil. You could use more Greek yogurt and less olive oil, but I like the 2 together. A teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. This is my 1/2 teaspoon measuring, so I'll do 2 of these. This just adds a little bit of tang, and apple cider vinegar is also good for you. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, red wine vinegar would also work. Then we'll add a teaspoon of our curry powder. Now, you could add 3/4 of a teaspoon of curry powder and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground turmeric. But my curry powder, one of the main ingredients is turmeric, so I'm just gonna add a teaspoon of the curry powder right to the bowl. This is a 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I'll do 2 of these, teaspoon right in. In a previous version of this recipe, I did 3/4 of a teaspoon and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric because my curry powder was not super yellow, but this looks beautiful, so I don't need to change anything here. I'm also gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Sometimes your curry powder will have black pepper in it, but I like to add a little bit there as well. Get that nice and whisked together. Beautiful. The warm quinoa, when we put it in here warm, will absorb a lot of this. And the great thing about this salad is it's good warm, it's great room temperature, and it's also great cold. So there's my dressing. Now let's chop our veggies. You need 2 medium or 1 large carrot. This is like a gigantic carrot. So I'm just gonna use one. If they're smaller carrots or medium, use two. I often do not peel my carrots, but I wash this and it still looks dirty to me, so I am just gonna give it a quick peel really quickly. Get rid of this outer part. A lot of the nutrients in fruits and vegetables is right under the peel, so I don't wanna get rid of too much of it, but I can get rid of some of this. The thing about this salad is I like to chop the carrot, actually like to dice it pretty small because I want it to be about the same size as the raisins that I'm going to put in. So when everything is small, it makes the salad really, really nice, a really nice texture. So to chop a carrot this big, cut it in half, just cut it into more manageable pieces and then get them in half so that they don't roll around. And this one I'll cut again. Just get everything into more manageable pieces. And then cut this. Get them all the same size. This is a lot of carrot. It's worth it for the texture of the salad to take your time and get everything the same size and small. It makes the final texture of the salad much more interesting and delightful. We're also gonna do green onions, also called scallions. We're gonna do 6 of these. I actually have these in here, they're regrowing. I had cut these a long time ago, a couple weeks ago, and they've been regrowing. So I'm just gonna peel the outer pieces off. You want the greens and the white part. Any of the greens that are looking a little off, just pull those right off. And then we'll use the rest of the greens and the white part. If your green onions are brand new, you probably don't need to peel the outsides off, but because I regrew these. So I'll show you what I did. I had these, I cut the tops off to use in something else. Then I put just a little bit of water, put the root end in the water and left it in the refrigerator and they regrew a few inches. You can see, I don't know if you can see this. This is where I cut it and this is how much has regrown. And some of these regrew a lot. So you only need to pull the outside off if it's not looking great, but I'm gonna do 6 of these green onions. The white part has more flavor, but the green part has a nice, delicate, mild flavor and it's really pretty. And there's lots of nutrition in it, so don't get rid of it. Let's take a look at the quinoa really quickly. It's been 12 minutes, so I wanna see what it looks like. Our quinoa needs about just another 2 minutes. You can see most of the water is absorbed, but it's very, very close to being done. Quinoa is done when the little tail sprouts out of it, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. I have just enough time to cut these green onions, so I'm gonna line them up here, cut the root end off. Now for the white part, I'm gonna slice them thin. Let me get them all in a row here. The green part, I'm gonna slice on a bias on a diagonal to make it pretty to garnish. So slice this white part really thin. Normally I would use more of the greens, but I use those in a different recipe. If you have longer greens, use them. When I get to here, I'm actually gonna change, I'm gonna go diagonal. You don't have to do this, this is just for looks. And I'm gonna use these to garnish this whole thing with. So let me pull those off to the side for garnish. We're right on time for our quinoa. Let me grab the quinoa from the back stove. And this is what it looks like, all nice and absorbed in. Perfectly cooked, the water's absorbed. You can see the little tail has sprouted out. Let that cool off for a few minutes because I don't want to put the hot quinoa straight into the Greek yogurt. I just want it to cool off a little bit. I want it to be warm because it will absorb the dressing, but not as hot as it is right off the stove, which gives me a few minutes to chop some cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, just leave it out. 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro, just a rough chop. You could use parsley if you want for the color, but if you didn't like cilantro, I would say just leave it out. All right, now it's time to assemble this beautiful salad. So I've got my dressing here. Let me give it another quick little whisk. Quinoa expands a lot while it cooks and even more when it cools. So with the veggies and everything going in here, this is always the perfect amount of dressing. All right, let's put this in. Let's get this in. This looks good. The salad is great right when you make it, but honestly, it's really good the next day once everything has kind of absorbed. So it's great for a family meal, but it's also good for meal prep. Give that a little toss. Now let's get all of our veggies in, all of our carrots, cilantro, the white parts of the green onion. If you're not serving this for a presentation, put all of the green onion in, but I like to put some on top for presentation. Give that a stir. Now let's add 1/3 cup of slivered almonds. Almonds are of course good for you, they're healthy. They also add a nice crunch to this salad and I just really like them. Cashews are also really, really good in this salad. So either almonds or cashews, 1/3 cup. And the slivered almonds just have a really nice texture. So 1/3 cup of slivered almonds and then raisins. Raisins or currants, Either one works. I have raisins today, 1/3 cup of raisins. Mine are kind of clumped together, so I'm just gonna make sure they separate. Adds a nice little sweet touch to this. Really, really good. Any kind of raisins or currants. This looks beautiful. Let's give this a nice big stir. This is an example of a healthy salad that is not just a plain, boring greens salad. This is a great meal. You don't even have to tell people it's healthy. This is based off of Barefoot Contessa's Curry Quinoa Salad. It's very similar. That is an awesome salad, but I wanted something with a bit more protein, a bit more fiber, so I went with quinoa instead. Now, I'm gonna let this sit for at least 15 minutes just to let all of the flavors absorb. I can stick this in the refrigerator. If it's out for more than an hour, put it in the refrigerator. Again, it's good warm. It's also really good room temperature or cold. Let me plate this up for you into a bowl so I can show you how I would serve it if I was serving it to someone. Let's get all of this in here. Hopefully in a nice, pretty way. And just sprinkle those green onions right on top. Beautiful. Could add some extra cilantro on top if you wanted to. A little cilantro. This is beautiful. Beautiful to serve. Also really great for meal prep. It smells so good in here. I obviously need to taste this. Let's take a bite. This is delicious. It's creamy, it's crunchy, it's bright, super full of flavor. It's absolutely delicious. It's such a great vegetarian meal, but again, you could add some chicken to it. You can serve this as a side dish or have it as the main part of your meal. If you like this episode, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you come back every single week for more recipes just like this. I'll see you then.